Do you not want to pay more for a borescope than you paid for your rifle? Well, we may have a solution for you coming up. I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and today we've got a really quick unboxing of a brand new product. We haven't even had a chance to work with this yet, but I wanted to give you guys a quick first look at it. This is a new product from Lyman. It actually was released some time ago. So I say new product, it's really new to us, not so much new to Lyman's lineup. But this is a Borescope. Set that aside there. And this is actually the Borecam by Lyman. It is a digital borescope, and where normally in the past you had to pay quite a bit of money for a professional level borescope to actually see what's going on inside your rifle, Lyman has kind of made this a little bit more accessible to your average shooter. First of all, really nice presentation. The box opens up real good, and we have this nice fitted foam in here, which I really like this setup because you're not going to have this thing out all the time. You're going to actually need to store it somewhere, and the fact that it can go right back inside the box here when you're not using it is really nice. So let's go ahead and see what we've got here. First of all, we've got our probe, and they put this nice protective tip on it to protect the mirror and the actual camera on the end. They have marked it with an inch scale down here, so you've got a reference point as to how deep in your bore the camera actually is. And we have this nice little rubber stopper on here to help you protect your crown. So you can run that down, and as you feed this guy in, it'll give you a little bit of tension and keep the camera from scraping across in your crown. Really nice feature too is right here on the end of the probe, it has a line marked and says lens, so you know which direction the camera is actually looking. So if you find a bad spot in your bore, you can note what clock direction that is at and how deep, and you know exactly where the bad spot is inside your bore. We have looks like a micro USB plug on the end of here that will go into our control box. We've got another USB cable. I think this is a mini USB. And then we've got a wall outlet charger. Got a little SD card reader. It's nice that they included that in the kit. We've got some cleaning stuff here, a cleaning spray and Q-tips. Really nice that they included that. And then we have the head unit itself, and this is a fairly simple setup. We've got capture button, mode button, and an up and down menu button. Power button on the top. It's fairly small and lightweight, but it feels fairly substantial. It doesn't really feel cheap. We have a standard SD card in the side here, and that locks in really nice and easy. And then we've got a box here, and this just has various different plugs for different countries. We're going to go ahead and plug this guy in, and we'll charge it up, and we'll be back in just a minute, and we'll take a look at how well this works. Now, it is generally important to actually read the product information or the user manual before you start using a product or before you start reviewing a product. So I was in error on one little part on this. I did say that you had to charge the battery inside. That is not the case. There is no battery inside of this. It is external power source only, which is somewhat of a drawback. I really wish it did have an external charger, but since this is really meant to be used in the shop, then that's not too big of a deal. Right now, I actually have it plugged into a USB battery pack, so you know, I usually carry one of those to charge my phone. It's nice that they did use USB cables, so that's very easily done. So we're going to go ahead and power the unit on right now. Our unit powers on here, And we do have the camera plugged into the left-hand side and the power plugged into the right, but they use two different types of USB plugs, so it's really, really difficult to get them switched. If you do, you probably damage the unit. So make sure you plug the right cable on the right side, but unless you're really cramming something in there, that shouldn't be an issue. Now the camera, as soon as we've got it powered on, you notice we have a light already on the probe on the camera end. It's nice that they included that because obviously there's no light inside of a barrel. So you do need a light on a Borecam. One other nice thing here is we already have a 45-degree mirror on here. Some of the cheaper Borecams out there just look straight down your bore, which does not give you a really good indicator of what's going on. You want to look at the side of the bore, not straight down it, to really get a close-up view of what's going on. So the simplest mode is we've just powered the unit on here. I haven't touched any buttons, and immediately we get a picture. So we're just going to go ahead and run it into the bore of the rifle and see what we've got. And we'll run this in here nice and slow. You see the shoulder. Now we're going into the lead of the rifle and getting into the rifling. And yeah, this barrel is not exactly looking the greatest in the world. There's some fire cracking in there, so we can definitely see that there are some issues in this barrel. We go ahead and run it further up. Now bear in mind that this is a 6mm barrel, so 243 6mm. It's going to be as small as most of the stuff that you would run into. Now that's another drawback between some of the really cheap borescopes that you'll see on Amazon or eBay, etc. The endoscope borescopes. Usually the probe in the camera is too thick to get into smaller barrels like this. So it's nice that Lyman made sure that this thing was nice and small. And really, we're able to get a good picture of what the inside of this barrel looks like. There's some copper streaks right there. There's some fire checking. So yeah, it definitely, this barrel is definitely pretty ugly. Now, I'm going to do some of our modes here. If we get down, let's find, like right here, we can see our cracking. We're going to push the capture button, and it should have captured a picture and sent that to our SD card. I'm just going to push the mode button here, and mode button, really, we get format for the card or language. That's about it, and we don't want to do either one of those, so we're going to go out. Really not a whole heck of a lot to do. Now, one drawback with the Lyman Borecam is you cannot shoot video with it. It's photos only, and that's obviously a drawback for us because I would really prefer to record video rather than have a video of the screen. But you know, those are some of the things that you give up with this system. Now, some of the cheaper Borecams out there do record video. It's very low resolution video, but you have to deal with other drawbacks as well. Now, this was a 6mm barrel. Let's take a look at how it does with a 22. So let's go ahead and take a look at my little investment here and see if this thing is worn out or not. Try not to block the screen here for you. And we got some rust right there. Always a good thing to see. Let's see, where are we at here? Okay, there's we got the chamber, we've got the shoulder, this is the neck, and right there, lovely rust. We'll go ahead and capture that. So we took that picture. Let's go a little bit further into it. The throat isn't too bad. We've got our rifling starting right there. And yeah, we've got some rust in here. I'm going to need to do some pretty good cleaning on this guy. More rust. So one of the things that you really want to keep in mind when you grab a military surplus upper, this one apparently was not well taken care of. Of course, it'll probably be just fine for a blaster once I get it cleaned up and get it all put together. Ooh, there's some really good rust there. But it's nice to inspect this because I really definitely would not want to have loaded this thing up and gone out and shot it with all this rust and this nastiness in here. I want to get that stuff out first. Take another picture here of that loveliness. So, and you can run all the way down here, and you see as we get further down, the bore actually looks not too terrible when we get down in here. And I'll point this out to you real quick. This is, the probe on here is long enough that we've gone all the way through a 14.5-inch barrel. So if we are working with something like this 24-inch barrel while it's in a receiver, that's about as far as I'm going to be able to get it, maybe a little bit further if it was actually in a Remington receiver. So that is going to be more than half of the barrel length. And then if I want to inspect the other side, I just flip it around and come in through the muzzle side, and I can inspect it through the muzzle. So really not a big deal there, and you can see if we inspected it from the muzzle, we're getting almost all the way back to the chamber. But you can expect that with this guy, this is a 19-inch probe right here, actually 20-inch probe. So it's a 20-inch probe. It will get most of the way through most things that you're going to want to look at. Overall, I think for the money that you're paying, this is a really high quality device. A couple of things that I wish it had. I wish it had battery power, and I wish it had video. That is something that the cheaper devices have. But you're getting a really nice probe that is going to fit all the way down into 22 caliber bores with no problem whatsoever. So that is really an added bonus for this. Plus, what I've noticed on some of the other bore cams that I've played with, some of the cheaper ones that are out there, is you really have some issues with the focus and with the attachments that they want to put on the end of here. A lot of them will put some kind of slip-on mirror, and the slip-on mirror will go on and it will work in larger bores like 30 calibers, but you can't slip the mirror on and go into 22s. The mirror is just too large to be able to fit down the bore. So then you're left with looking straight down the bore, and the fire cracking that we saw on this, you probably would not be able to see if you were looking straight down the bore. You really need to look sideways to see that. So getting that angle and being able to look 90 degrees and see the side of the bore is really critical for these kind of devices. So overall, I really like the Lyman Borecam. Obviously, we've just used it here in a few minutes, but the things that I can see in this barrel would save me from the cost of having this barrel set back and trying to use it again. Being able to look through and go, oh, okay, that's, not a good thing. Or if I have a rifle that starts shooting poorly, then I can use this, look into the barrel, see if it's a barrel issue before I go to the expense of sending it off to a gunsmith. So this is not something that's going to appeal to everyone, but if you've already got a pretty decent tool set, if you do work on your own guns, then this is going to allow you to put eyes where you normally wouldn't put eyes. So I think it's a great tool to have in the toolbox. Now, I do want to thank Lyman for sending the Borecam out to us to take a look at. Lyman has not sponsored this video in any way, shape, or form. They just provided the product for us to take a look at. So we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of time using it, and we'll come back and we will give you guys a conclusion and a full review once we've spent a little bit more time with it. But so far, I think it's a really great product. We're going to see what kind of longevity we have, and we'll post up the pictures that we snapped through the Borecam so that you guys can see what kind of quality the pictures are, since it's really hard to get an idea when we are shooting a video of a video screen. If you guys have any questions or comments on the Lyman Borecam, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below or send them to us on Facebook or Twitter. If you like the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, get out and shoot.